latest updates. The last experiment being a ritual sent in by one of you, Kin. And nothing strange. I haven't noticed anything unusual or out of the ordinary since then. I have talked to Kin a little bit. He just messaged me. I haven't replied back yet. A little bit about a mistake I might have made with the candles, and a little bit about him perhaps sending me a good luck charm, which I'm excited about. Always to get something, but also charms in particular I think are really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've read through some of the comments on the video. But as far as I can tell, none of you specifically mentioned recognizing it, which I think is also interesting. But back to the point, nothing strange noticed since. And I know after saying that, many of you are thinking, well, okay, then let's get on to the target image. Which I will in just a moment. But before I do, there was a cool article on Science Daily recently that I wanted to share with some of you. I have it up right here. And just to make sure that I'm not speaking too quietly, I might read this a little bit loud, so, you know, just in case, you might want to be prepared for that, the loudness. And again, you can find this on ScienceDaily.com. I guess actually it'd be a little bit easier if I just bring the camera to the screen so that you can better read it, as I read it. The name of the article, obviously, Beliefs Can Regulate Effects of Nicotine on the Human Brain. Date February 26, 2015, source Virginia Tech. It's been a while actually since I read this, but I've been waiting to let everybody know at a time I thought was the good chance to mention it. The summary, really quick, a little bit misleading, but it says scientists have discovered that beliefs can regulate the effects of nicotine on the human brain. Two identical cigarettes led to a new discovery. Study participants inhaled nicotine, yet they showed significantly different brain activity. Why the difference? Some subjects were told their cigarettes were nicotine-free. This goes beyond the placebo effect, researchers say. And that's just a stock image of a cigarette. I don't even know why they stuck that there. But two identical cigarettes led to the discovery, blah, blah, blah. Our research group has begun to show that beliefs are as powerful as physical influence on the brain as neuroactive drugs, said Reed Montague, director of the Computational Psychiatry Unit at the Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute and lead author of a study published this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Nicotine has formidable effects throughout the brain, especially in the reward-based learning pathways. Nicotine teaches the brain that smoking leads to reward. Once the brain learns that correlation, the addictive chemical cycle is difficult to break. In this study, scientists tracked the brain responses using functional magnetic resonance imaging, which many of you have probably heard of as MRIs. We suspected that we would be able to see neural signals based on the subject's belief rather than their actual nicotine intake, said Montague, who is also a professor of physics in Virginia Tech's College of Science. After smoking cigarettes, volunteers played a reward-based learning game while their brains were scanned. The subjects viewed a historical stock price graph, made an investment, and repeated the cycle multiple times. Researchers used computational models of learning signals thought to be generated by the brain during these kinds of tasks. In each subject, the individually tracked signals were specifically influenced by beliefs about nicotine. Montague and his team found that the people who believed they had smoked nicotine cigarettes made different choices and had different neural signals than the other participants, despite the fact that both groups had consumed the same substance. The scientists also found people who believed they had smoked nicotine had significantly higher activity in their reward learning pathways. Those who did not believe they had smoked nicotine did not exhibit those same signals. It was the belief alone that modulated activity in the learning pathway, Montague said. This goes beyond the placebo effect, quote unquote. Multiple studies support the placebo effect, showing sham treatments can improve a patient's condition simply because the person believed it would be helpful. In the current study, however, researchers found belief alone could actually erase or enhance the effects of nicotine in participants who were under the influence of the active drug. The study was featured in an editorial commentary by Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The current findings extend the relevance of dopamine-guided learning processes to the experience of how drug intoxication influences the way the human brain works and orchestrates our behaviors, Volkow wrote in the commentary. Volkow suggested previously shrouded mechanisms behind beliefs and learned responses could be manipulated as a target for new addiction treatments. Nothing is more convincing than how a drug can make you feel differently, Montague said. A drug can induce a belief state which itself causes the change. Scientists might be able to harness this belief system, capable of inducing physiological changes, to reverse engineer addiction. Just as drugs micromanage the belief state, Montague said, maybe we can micromanage beliefs to better affect behavior change in addiction. Now, in case anybody doesn't think that that sounds relevant, to the paranormal, I would argue that the placebo effect in general, and specifically the ability for belief to regulate, modulate, or change the effects of a drug that is on a standard level, you would expect everybody to have the same basic reaction to it. The same basic reaction everybody gets from having a coffee, trying methamphetamines, for example. The idea that belief in what the drug will do or not do can actually be as powerful or cause either scenario, I think, as far as paranormal research is related, even parapsychology, I think that's incredible. And what's more is this research here obviously helps legitimize it, since there is some controversy about whether or not the placebo effect exists at all. Now, with that out of the way, and aside from other comments here, just a second, I'll get the picture up and I won't, gross you out with my incredibly disorganized desktop. Actually, I almost forgot. I still need to read the predictions before I show you the target image. So, I'll get on to that. Flipping through the comments here, also I want to thank everybody that left their opinions and thoughts about film versus digital in regards to capturing paranormal phenomena, typically apparitions. Cafe Azawa, I think, is the first prediction here. Says they're getting a window with a man pacing back and forth behind a desk. The window overlooks a town. Dark shades of black and blue. Mr. Desgo mentioned some comments about last week's prediction and the car. Thanks, by the way, even if it's not a Ferrari. I'm not very good at recognizing makes of cars. Sorry. El Mano Reptiliano says they see a Latina girl smiling. Chris Crow says they see a big dog sitting down. Sal Lee predicts a tornado destroying everything in its path. And Trevor says that I don't need to pronounce their last name, but also their guess is that it is an island, or perhaps just water, or some sort of liquid. Alright, those being the predictions. This was the visual target. Yes, that's a boy in a white shirt giving a thumbs up with a blue background. I think background. The background is technically actually the standard sort of school photo background. There actually is some text at the bottom that says free image hosting by www.techpowerup.com. If anybody had that in their prediction, obviously it would be astounding. But basically, it's a young, dirty blonde, Caucasian boy, white t-shirt, blue background, giving a thumbs up gesture. Eye color I can't recognize readily. Maybe brown. Which would be, again, astounding if somebody did nail the eye color, hair color, and the fact that it was a young Caucasian boy. Instead of giving you my opinion on whether or not I think any of these are direct hits, next week I'll be reading and I'll hear what you think and whether or not you think any of them were excellent hits, good hits, or bad hits, even if you post about that. I appreciate it. And for those wondering what the heck this is and why this picture of this boy is here, every week after I record these updates, I find an image, basically at random, and that image is your visual target for the week. In the comments below, you leave your predictions for what you think that image will be. You can use anything you want to figure out what the image is. It doesn't matter if you scry it, if you just ask someone that you think is psychic even, or if you astral project to come somehow look at me finding the image. It doesn't matter how you get it, as long as you get it and leave your prediction in the comments below. Which is also, which you probably put together, those strange descriptions I was just reading are other people's predictions for the visual target. And that'll happen every week if you want to have multiple attempts at it. Some sort of small way for you to train psychic abilities, if that's your approach. And I want to thank everybody who did send in comments, thumbs up, just like the boys do. And again, for everybody that left their comments about the film digital controversy sort of thing. And don't forget to leave leave your comments about what you think about the article on Science Daily in regards to belief and nicotine's effect on a person. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to send in every idea you have for other paranormal experiments, rituals. I know there's several even in the comments for this video here, a couple. Keep them coming. They all go on the list, and they will all be done eventually. Oh, and I almost forgot, if you want to see it when I get around to it, or make sure that you hear your predictions overviewed for the next update, there will be a subscriber button up there where my finger's pointing, or up there. One of those two. Thanks again.